Noah Blake was 3 months behind on rent and surviving on ramen noodles when his ancient Honda Civic's brakes failed on 5th Avenue. The traffic light ahead turned red, but his foot went straight to the floor with nothing but a grinding sound responding. Noah watched in horror as his car slammed into the back of a pristine black Mercedes sedan. The impact was not hard, just a dull crunch of metal and plastic, but Noah's entire world collapsed in that moment. He stumbled out of his car, his hands shaking, and approached the Mercedes. The driver's door opened slowly. A man in his 50s emerged, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Noah's entire college tuition. He had steel gray hair, sharp features, and eyes that made Noah want to run. 2 more men stepped out from the back seat, both built like brick walls and wearing identical dark suits. Bodyguards. Noah's stomach dropped. He had just rear-ended someone important, someone dangerous. The well-dressed man surveyed the damage to his Mercedes with an expression that revealed nothing. A small dent marked the bumper, barely visible. He turned those cold eyes on Noah. "Do you have insurance?" His voice was calm, almost polite, which somehow made it more terrifying. Noah's throat felt like sandpaper. "Yes, but it's minimal coverage. My car is barely worth anything." "I'm so sorry, sir. My brakes failed." I tried to stop, but the man held up one hand, silencing Noah immediately. "Your name?" "Noah Blake. I'm a student at Columbia. I swear this was an accident. Please, I'll pay for the damage somehow." The bodyguards exchanged glances that Noah could not read. The well-dressed man studied Noah for a long moment, and Noah felt like he was being catalogued, assessed, filed away in some mental database. "My name is Victor Rossi," the man said quietly, "and you have just damaged my personal vehicle. We will need to exchange information." Noah's hands trembled as he pulled out his wallet. He had heard the name Victor Rossi before, whispered in certain circles around New York. Real estate developer. Philanthropist. And according to darker rumors, the head of one of the city's most powerful crime families. Noah handed over his insurance card and driver's license, praying this was all just paranoia. Maybe this was a different Victor Rossi. Maybe the bodyguards were just personal security for a wealthy businessman. Victor examined Noah's documents with the same careful attention. Columbia University. Pre-law. 22 years old. You live on Amsterdam Avenue. He looked up. That is not a safe neighborhood for a college student. Noah tried to keep his voice steady. "It's what I can afford, sir." Victor handed back the documents. "My insurance will handle the repairs. But I require something from you, Mr. Blake. A written apology. Call it old-fashioned, but I believe in personal accountability. You will write me a letter explaining what happened and taking responsibility. Deliver it to this address tomorrow by noon." He handed Noah a business card with only an address printed on it. No name, no phone number. Noah took the card with shaking hands. "Just a letter? That's all." Victor's smile did not reach his eyes. "That is all. 1 page, handwritten, thoughtful. If you fail to deliver it by noon tomorrow, my insurance company will pursue maximum damages, and I will personally ensure your financial future becomes very complicated. Do we understand each other?" Noah nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. I'll have it there by noon." Victor returned to his Mercedes, and his bodyguards followed. They drove away, leaving Noah standing beside his damaged Honda with a business card that felt heavier than it should. When Noah got home to his cramped studio apartment that night, he sat at his desk and stared at blank paper for an hour. What kind of apology letter did a Mafia boss expect? Should he be formal? Humble? Detailed? Noah started writing, crossing out lines, starting over. He was terrible at this. Finally, around midnight, exhaustion and stress made him honest. He wrote about his failed brakes, his money problems, his fear when he realized who he had hit. He wrote 3 drafts before settling on something that felt genuine. But as Noah prepared to seal the letter, his roommate Caleb came home from his shift at the campus library. Caleb was a computer science major who survived on caffeine and conspiracy theories. He took one look at the business card on Noah's desk and went pale. "Dude, is this Victor Rossi? The Victor Rossi?" Noah nodded miserably. "I rear-ended his car today. He wants a written apology. Caleb grabbed his laptop and started typing frantically. Noah, this guy is serious mafia. Like, actual organized crime. There are rumors he's connected to disappearances, money laundering, protection rackets. You can't just write him a letter and think this is over. Noah felt sick. What choice do I have? He said if I don't deliver it by noon tomorrow, he'll destroy me financially. Caleb kept scrolling through articles and forum posts. Wait, oh man. Oh, this is weird. He turned his laptop to face Noah. Victor Rossi's son went missing 3 years ago. Luca Rossi, age 19. Vanished without a trace. Victor supposedly spent millions searching for him. Noah stared at the photo on Caleb's screen. Luca Rossi had been a handsome kid with dark hair and his father's sharp features. The article said he disappeared after leaving a party in Brooklyn. No body was ever found. Police suspected kidnapping, possibly by a rival crime family, but there was no evidence. Victor Rossi had reportedly offered a $5 million reward for information, but 3 years later, the case was cold. Why are you showing me this? Noah asked. Caleb's eyes were intense. Because I think I've seen this kid. Recently. Noah's stomach dropped. What? Where? Caleb pulled out his phone and scrolled through photos. I volunteer at that homeless outreach program in Queens, remember? Last week, there was this guy who looked exactly like this photo, just older and rougher. He wouldn't give his real name, just called himself Luke. But Noah, the resemblance was insane. He showed Noah a blurry photo he had taken of the volunteers serving food. In the background, barely visible, was a young man with long, matted hair and a scraggly beard. But the bone structure, the eyes, they could have belonged to Luca Rossi. Noah's mind raced. You think Victor Rossi's son is living homeless in Queens? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't he go home? Caleb shrugged. I don't know, man. Maybe he's running from something. Maybe he's got amnesia. Maybe he doesn't want to be found. But if that's really him, and you could give his father that information, I'd be giving a mafia boss information about his missing son, Noah finished. That either saves my life or gets me killed, depending on whether the information is good. They stared at each other. Noah looked at his apology letter, sitting on the desk waiting to be sealed. Then he looked at the photo of the homeless man who might be Luca Rossi. He had about 12 hours to decide if he was brave enough or stupid enough to include this information in a letter to Victor Rossi. If he was wrong, he would look like an insensitive idiot or a scam artist trying to claim reward money. If he was right, he might reunite a father with his missing son. Or he might get that son killed. Noah made his decision at 3 in the morning. He rewrote the apology letter completely, starting with the car accident but including a careful paragraph at the end. Mr. Rossi, I hesitate to include this, but my conscience will not allow me to stay silent. My roommate volunteers at a homeless outreach program in Queens. Last week, he encountered a young man who bears a striking resemblance to your son Luca. The man calls himself Luke and refuses to give further details about his identity. This may be nothing or it may be something. I provide this information with no expectation of reward, only the hope that it might bring you peace, one way or another. The outreach program operates out of St. Catherine's Church on Roosevelt Avenue. Noah read the letter 5 times, changing small words, trying to strike the right tone. He did not want to sound like he was trying to manipulate Victor or claim the reward money. He just wanted to share information that might matter. Finally, he sealed the envelope and set his alarm for 9 in the morning. The address on Victor's business card led to a luxury apartment building in Midtown Manhattan. Noah arrived at 11:15, giving himself plenty of time. A doorman in the lobby directed him to the penthouse elevator. Noah's heart pounded as the elevator climbed. What if Victor thought this was a cruel joke? What if the homeless man was not Luca, and Noah had just given false hope to a grieving father? The elevator opened directly into a penthouse foyer. One of the bodyguards from yesterday stood waiting. The letter, he said, holding out his hand. Noah hesitated. I was supposed to deliver it to Mr. Rossi personally. The bodyguard's expression did not change. I will ensure he receives it. The letter. Noah handed over the envelope, feeling like he was signing away his fate. The bodyguard nodded toward the elevator. You can go. Noah rode back down, his stomach in knots. He had done what Victor asked. Now he just had to hope he had not made a terrible mistake. Noah went to class that afternoon but could not focus. His phone stayed silent. No calls, no messages, no response to the letter. 3 days passed with nothing. Noah started to believe Victor had read the letter, dismissed the information about Luca, and forgotten about the college student who rear-ended his car. Then, on the 4th day, Noah returned to his apartment to find Victor Rossi sitting on his front steps. No bodyguards. No car. Just the Mafia boss himself, wearing casual clothes and looking older than he had during their first meeting. Noah froze. Mr. Rossi. I didn't expect. Victor stood slowly. I went to Roosevelt Avenue. To St. Catherine's Church. I brought a photo of my son and asked the volunteers if they had seen him. Noah's throat tightened. And? Victor's voice cracked slightly. They told me a young man matching his description comes for meals on Tuesdays and Fridays. He refuses help beyond food. He has not been back since last week. He looked at Noah with eyes that held both hope and terror. I need to find him before he disappears again. I need your roommate's help. Caleb arrived home 20 minutes later to find Victor Rossi sitting at their small kitchen table, drinking coffee Noah had nervously prepared. Caleb's eyes went wide, but Noah quickly explained the situation. Caleb pulled up the photo on his phone again. This is the guy I saw. I talked to him for maybe 5 minutes. He was polite but distant. Wouldn't make eye contact. Had this nervous energy, like he was always ready to run. Victor stared at the photo with an intensity that made the room feel smaller. That could be Luca. The age is right. The build. But 3 years on the streets would change someone. His hands shook as he held Caleb's phone. Why would he not come home? Why would he choose this life? Caleb shifted uncomfortably. Sometimes people run from their lives for reasons that make sense to them. Maybe he wanted out of the family business. Maybe something happened that night he disappeared. Maybe he's not ready to be found. Victor's jaw tightened. Or maybe someone is holding something over him. Threatening him. Keeping him away. Victor turned to Noah. You included this information in your letter knowing it might be nothing. Knowing I might react poorly. Why? Noah chose his words carefully. Because if my son was missing, I would want every piece of information, no matter how uncertain. And because you asked me to write an honest apology. Honesty means including difficult truths. Victor studied him for a long moment. You study pre-law. You want to be an attorney? Noah nodded. Public defender, ideally. Help people who can't afford legal representation. Something shifted in Victor's expression. Interesting. Most law students want corporate jobs and 6-figure salaries. You rear-end my car, dig into my personal tragedy, and want to defend poor people. You are either remarkably stupid or remarkably principled. Noah managed a weak smile. My girlfriend says it's a little of both. Victor stood. I need to find my son. If that man at St. Catherine's is Luca, I need to bring him home. You two are going to help me. It was not a request. That Friday, Noah and Caleb accompanied Victor to the church outreach program in Queens. Victor stayed in his car while the 2 students went inside with volunteers. They served food and talked to the homeless men and women who came through, searching for the young man Caleb had photographed. Hours passed. Noah was beginning to think they had missed him when Caleb grabbed his arm. That's him. By the coffee station. Noah turned to see a thin young man with long, dirty hair filling a paper cup. Even beneath the grime and facial hair, the resemblance to the photo of Luca Rossi was unmistakable. Noah's heart raced. I'll get Victor. Wait, Caleb said urgently. If his dad just shows up, he might run. We need to approach this carefully. Noah understood. They could not ambush someone who had been living in hiding for 3 years. Caleb walked over to the young man casually, offering him a sandwich. Noah watched them talk, Caleb keeping his body language relaxed and non-threatening. After a few minutes, Caleb returned. His name is Luke, and he's definitely hiding something. When I mentioned I had seen him last week, he got nervous. Asked if anyone was looking for him. I said no, But I could tell he didn't believe me. Victor appeared in the doorway of the church, unable to wait any longer. He walked straight toward the coffee station, his eyes locked on the young man. Luke looked up and their eyes met across the room. The recognition was instant and devastating. Luke's face went white. He dropped his coffee cup and bolted for the back exit. Victor shouted, "Luca, wait." But the young man was already gone, disappearing through the rear door into the alley. Victor ran after him with surprising speed. Noah and Caleb followed, emerging into a narrow alley filled with dumpsters and fire escapes. Luca was climbing a chain-link fence at the end of the alley. Victor reached the fence and grabbed his son's ankle. "Please, Luca. I just want to talk. I have been searching for you for 3 years. Please." Luca hung on the fence, his father holding his ankle, both of them frozen in that desperate tableau. Finally, Luca stopped struggling. He climbed back down slowly and turned to face Victor. Up close, the years on the street were visible in every line of his face. "You shouldn't have come looking for me," Luca said, his voice hoarse. "I left for a reason." Victor's voice broke. What reason could possibly justify disappearing without a word? "Your mother died thinking you were dead. I have spent millions searching. What happened that night?" Luca's eyes filled with tears. "I saw something I was not supposed to see. Uncle Paolo and his men executing someone in the warehouse. I was at that party in Brooklyn, and I went to the warehouse looking for you. I walked in at exactly the wrong moment." Victor went completely still. "Paolo, my own brother." Luca nodded. "He saw me see it. He told me if I ever came home, if I ever told you what he did, he would kill everyone I loved. He said he would start with Mom, then my sister, then you. He gave me 2 choices, disappear forever or watch my family die." The alley was silent except for distant traffic. Noah and Caleb stood frozen, realizing they had just stumbled into a family betrayal that went deeper than they imagined. Victor's face had gone from desperate hope to cold fury. "Paolo told me you had been kidnapped by the Delgado family. He organized the search efforts. He helped me spend millions looking for you." His voice was shaking now. "He was the one who suggested your mother's heart could not take the stress. He was the one who insisted we hold a memorial service after a year." Luca wiped tears from his face. "He wanted you broken. He wanted control of the family. With me gone and Mom dying from grief, you became easier to manipulate. Uncle Paolo has been running things behind your back for 3 years, hasn't he?" Victor did not deny it. Noah saw the pieces falling into place, the terrible realization of how completely Victor had been betrayed by his own brother. "Where is Paolo now?" Victor asked quietly. Luca shook his head. "I don't know. I've been hiding for 3 years. I move around Queens, never staying in one place. I figured eventually Paolo would assume I died on the streets or left the city. I was waiting until I thought it was safe to contact you." Victor pulled out his phone and made a call. "Bring Paolo to the warehouse on Kent Avenue. I do not care what he is doing. Bring him now." He hung up and looked at his son. "This ends tonight. Paolo will answer for what he has done. For the man he killed. For threatening you. For destroying our family." Luca grabbed his father's arm. "If you kill him, you're doing exactly what he wanted. You're becoming the monster he always said you were. There's another way." Victor stared at his son. "What way?" Luca looked at Noah. "You said you want to be a public defender. You believe in the legal system, right?" Noah nodded slowly, not sure where this was going. "Then help us build a case. Real evidence. Let the law handle Paolo instead of family justice." Victor laughed bitterly. "You think the law will touch Paolo? He has judges and police on his payroll. The law protects men like him." "Not if we do this right," Luca insisted. "I witnessed a murder. That's testimony. If we can find evidence of Paolo's other crimes, if we can build a case so big that his connections can't protect him, we can destroy him legally." Noah found himself speaking up. "Luca's right. If you kill Paolo, you go to prison and he becomes a martyr. But if you expose him, cooperate with the authorities, turn state's evidence, you could bring down your brother and come out clean." Victor looked between his son and the college student who had rear-ended his car a week ago. You are asking me to betray my entire organization. To work with the FBI. To become an informant. I'm asking you to choose your real family over the business, Luca said firmly. I'm asking you to be the father I remember, not the crime boss Uncle Paolo turned you into. The alley was silent. Victor's phone buzzed with a message. He looked at it and then at Luca. Paolo is at the warehouse. My men have him. If we are doing this, we do it now. Before word spreads. Before he has time to run or retaliate. 2 hours later, Noah found himself in a situation he never imagined. He sat in an FBI field office with Luca Rossi, Caleb, and Victor Rossi, surrounded by federal agents taking statements. Victor had called his attorney, who had contacted the FBI. They were offering full cooperation in exchange for immunity for Victor and Luca. Paolo Rossi had been arrested at the warehouse, along with 3 of his lieutenants. Victor's testimony would connect Paolo to 14 murders, drug trafficking, extortion, and money laundering. The case would dismantle the entire Rossi crime family. Agent Patricia Valdez looked at Noah with something like amusement. So you rear-ended a mafia boss's car, and instead of just apologizing, you decided to help him find his missing son and take down his criminal empire? Noah shrugged weakly. I was just trying to be honest in my apology letter. Agent Valdez smiled. Well, your honesty is going to put some very bad people away for life. The information you provided about Luca's location broke this case open. She turned to Victor. Your brother will be charged tomorrow. With your testimony, he'll never see freedom again. 6 months later, Noah sat in his criminal law class at Columbia when his phone buzzed. It was a text from Luca Rossi, who was now living in witness protection while attending community college under a new identity. My dad's testimony finished today. Paolo got 4 life sentences. It's really over. Noah smiled and texted back congratulations. His phone buzzed again, this time from Victor, who had relocated to a small town in Oregon after his cooperation deal was finalized. Thank you, Noah. For the apology letter that changed everything. For having the courage to tell me the truth. I will never forget what you did for my family. Noah looked around his classroom, at fellow students who had no idea what he had been through. He thought about that moment when his brakes failed and his car hit that Mercedes. One accident had led to finding a missing son, exposing a betrayal, and helping bring down a crime family. His professor was talking about the importance of evidence and witness testimony in criminal cases. Noah thought about Luca's brave decision to testify against his uncle. About Victor choosing law over revenge. About how one honest apology letter had started a chain reaction that changed multiple lives. Sometimes doing the right thing meant writing a truthful letter when you could have just written what someone wanted to hear. Sometimes it meant getting involved when you could have stayed invisible. Sometimes it meant trusting that honesty and courage mattered, even when facing dangerous people in terrible situations. Noah's phone buzzed one more time. A notification about a wire transfer to his bank account. $50,000 from an anonymous donor with a note. For brake repairs and law school tuition. Use it to become the attorney who fights for truth. VR. Noah stared at the screen, then looked up at his professor discussing justice and legal ethics. He smiled. He had a lot of studying to do. The world needed more people willing to write honest letters, even to mafia bosses. Especially to mafia bosses.